All welcome everyone to the online course on Essential of Database Management System. In previous presentation, we discussed TCL commands and DCL commands. In this presentation, we are going to discuss constraint in SQL. What is constraint? Constraint are the rules that we can apply on the type of data in the table. There are different type of constraint in SQL. Primary key constraint, foreign key, unique, not null, check, and default. Then how to specify the constraint? While creating a table, we can apply the constraint. While altering the table, we can apply the constraint. Let's start with the primary key constraint. The primary key is a field which uniquely identifies each row in the table. Once the column becomes the primary key, it not allow any null value, it not allow any duplicate values. Syntax is create table, table name, column name, data type, size, constraint, constraint name, then followed by primary key. Just one example. So here create table, the table name is invoice. There are two fields, invoice number, then followed by data type, then followed by constraint, that is primary key. So now the column become primary key constraint column. And second one is invoice date, that is the data type is date. So the first column becomes the primary key. So while inserting the record, so it will accept. The second time, if you are inserting the same data, it will show error because it not allow any duplicate value. If you want to remove primary key, then you can do it using alter commands. For example, alter table, invoice, drop under primary key. So that cases the column become the normal column. It will allow the duplicate values. Some important points. If the primary key is referenced by foreign key, you must first drop the foreign key before dropping the primary key. If the primary key column has auto increment, dropping the primary key does not remove auto increment, but you might need to reset manually. So you can apply the primary key at the table level also. We'll discuss create table. The table name is invoice. There are two fields, invoice number and invoice date. Then followed by you can apply the constraint. For example, constraint name, primary key. With the parenthesis, we can to mention the particular column name. So now the particular column becomes the primary key constraint column. For example, table is already created without any primary key constraint. In future, you can add the constraint. For example, alter table, invoice, add constraint name, primary key, and then particular column name. So now the particular column name become the primary key constraint column. For example, invoice number. It is reflected in the existing table. Dropping primary key constraint using the alter command. For example, alter table, invoice, drop, constraint and constraint name. So automatically the constraint is removed from the table. And next one is foreign key constraint. It will maintain the referential integrity between two tables by linking a column in one table to the primary key of another table. The table can have any number of foreign keys. We'll discuss with them. There are two tables. The first table is a parent table. For example, create table, author. There are two fields. Author ID is a primary key constraint and the author name. So now table is created successfully. And create the second table. Create table book. Book ID is a primary key constraint and the book name. Then followed by we are going to link with the previous table, right? The previous table primary key is ID is that is AID. So AID integer, foreign key of AID, a reference to the previous table name. The previous table name is author. Then followed by its ID, that is author ID. So now automatically the second table is linked with the previous table. Insert the values. But while inserting the value in the second table, we must do it carefully. For example, inserting the duplicate value, it will show the error because primary constraint also is there. Then what is the, we'll just look at third column values, for example, 30. That 30 is not present in the first table. That case also it will show the error. Well, if you want to add the foreign key constraint in future also, you can do it. using alter command.
For example, alter table, table name is, for example, book, add constraint name, foreign key, the particular column name. Then reference to the particular table name, within the parenthesis mention the particular column name. So now automatically it will reflect in the table. While deleting the table, we have to do it carefully. First, delete the child table, then followed by delete the parent table. Otherwise, it will show the error. The command is drop table book. For example, the child table is deleted. And next one is drop table author, the parent table is deleted. This is the way we can delete the table if it is already relation with other table. Unique constraint. So the column become unique constraint. It means it does not allow any duplicate value, but it will allow the null value. So what is the difference between primary key constraint and unique constraint? Primary key does not allow any null value, but unique constraint will allow the null value. What is the similarity? So both are not allow any duplicate value. And next one, we can apply the primary key constraint only one column, but the unique constraint we can apply into multiple column in the table. Next one is not null constraint. Suppose the column is mandatory column. That cases you can apply not null constraint. It means the column is not allow any null value. You must enter value based on the data type. Check constraint. So check constraint means for suppose the column it will verify the constraint. If the condition is satisfied, the column is allowed to enter the value. Otherwise, it will show the error. So based on the condition, it will allow to enter the value. That cases, you can apply the check constraint. Next one is the default constraint. Sometimes the user or customer something, they will forget to enter the values. That case, any missing field, it will show error. Then in order to avoid this type of error, we can use default constraint. So the user is forgot to enter the value automatically. The DBMS software it will take the default value, it will insert in the table. In this way, we can avoid the errors. For example, create table name is customer. So here the customer ID, that is the primary key constraint, and one more constraint is condition. For example, the customer ID start with the C character, otherwise it will show error. Next, customer name. It is a mandatory column, so you must enter the value. And next one is the age. So here is condition. The age is greater than 18. That cases only it is allowed to enter. And also one more condition, not null. It means mandatory column. You must enter the value. And the mobile number is a unique. That is unique means for it not allow any duplicate value. The salary, the default value is 1000. Suppose the user is forgot to enter the salary, automatically the 1000 is entered into the table. For example, insert into customer. So here we are going to insert the values based on the column domain. For example, the value is 100 and then Kumar and 19 and 18. But the user is forgot to enter the salary. On that cases, the DBM software automatically it will take the salary, default value salary 1000, it will insert the table. Suppose if you are entering the salary, then your value it will be considered that will be entered into the table. I hope that you understood this concept.